All right, so this is just a short review of solving inequalities. Remember, inequalities are basically like equations in a lot of ways. They just use a less than sign, a less than or equal to, a greater than, or a greater than or equal to. So the or equal to's are kind of like you mix an inequality with a equal sign, right? So that's, you can kind of think of it that way. Most of it is the same as solving equations, but there are a couple differences. Let's go ahead and look at those. Let's do this. Oops. All right, so let's say we have an inequality like this. The idea is, again, very similar to equation. You want to get the x's on one side and the constants on the other. So it's like combining like terms, but they're not on the same side of the inequality. So you have to use inverse operations. So like in this case, if I want to move the 4 over to the right-hand side, then I have to add 4 on both sides so that this becomes 0. Over here, this will become 9. So now the idea is, hey, there's no constant over on the left, just the variable. Now we can do the same thing on the opposite side, or with the variable on the opposite side. So we're going to subtract 5x. This becomes 0, which is the whole idea. And then we're getting, let's go ahead and draw a line down the middle here to kind of separate my work. And then we're getting negative 3x is less than 9. Now here's where it becomes tricky. So if you recall, we're going to solve this the same way that we solve equations. We're going to use inverse operations. Negative 3x is saying negative 3 is being multiplied by x. The inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 3. But when you divide or multiply by a negative with inequalities, you have to flip the sign. So right here, we're going to change this sign right here. It reverses order. So we're going to have here, these cancel, right? That's just x. So we are going to have x is greater than now, and then here 9 divided by negative 3 gives us negative 3, because a positive divided by negative is a negative. Don't forget, when we are talking about graphing our inequalities on a number line like this, I'll put my 0. There's two things. The first one is the idea of an open versus a closed circle. This is going to be a open circle because it does not have the or equal to bar underneath. If it has the or equal to bar, that's when we would have a closed circle. So we're going to go ahead and do an open circle here at negative 3. And then we are going to have the shading. This is because the x is first, we can just follow that direction. You can also just logic it out. X is greater than negative 3. Things that are greater than negative 3 are over to the right. So we're going to shade that direction. And there you go. That is solving and graphing inequalities. If you have questions, please let me know.